The haunting secrets of a midnight pizza order. It was just another Friday night, and the craving for pizza led me to dial the number of a local pizzeria known for its late-night delivery. Little did I know that this seemingly ordinary pizza order would turn into a nightmarish experience that still sends chills down my spine. As I waited for the delivery, the air outside felt unusually still. The street lamp flickered ominously, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with a sinister energy. The minutes stretched into an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. Finally, the doorbell rang, and I eagerly opened it, expecting the warm aroma of pizza to greet me. Instead, a cold gust of wind swept into the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging my apartment into darkness. Confused, I fumbled for my phone's flashlight and scanned the area. The pizza box sat on the doorstep, but there was no delivery person in sight. Curiosity turned to unease as I brought the pizza inside. The box felt icy cold, and as I opened it, a foul stench wafted through the air. The pizza looked normal at first glance, but something seemed off. The toppings formed a cryptic pattern that sent shivers down my spine. Ignoring the unsettling feeling, I took a hesitant bite. The room seemed to grow colder, and an oppressive silence settled in. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed from the hallway, a soft whisper that seemed to speak my name. Panic set in as I realized I was alone in my apartment. The whispers intensified, now a cacophony of unintelligible voices that seemed to echo from the walls. The room felt like it was closing in on me. The shadows took on a life of their own, swirling and contorting into ominous shapes. Desperation gripped me as I tried to make sense of the surreal nightmare unfolding around me. In a moment of terror, I decided to leave the apartment, abandoning the pizza that had become a harbinger of the supernatural. As I stepped into the hallway, the air outside felt thick with an unexplainable heaviness. The distant street lamp flickered again, casting long shadows that seemed to follow my every move. I stumbled down the dimly lit corridor, the whispers growing louder with each step. The walls seemed to close in, and the atmosphere became suffocating. Panic consumed me as I struggled to find the exit, my surroundings distorted into a maze of nightmarish proportions. Just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, I burst through the entrance of the apartment building into the cool night air. The oppressive weight lifted, and the whispers faded into the distance. The pizza box, now discarded on the doorstep, seemed like a relic from a twisted dimension. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that chilling pizza delivery. Was it a mere hallucination, or did that pizza carry something malevolent within its cryptic toppings? The pizzeria, seemingly ordinary during the day, now haunts my thoughts. A place where a routine order turned into a surreal encounter with the unknown. Hunger pangs, a deliverance gone wrong. The rain lashed against my windshield, blurring the neon glow of the city into a watercolor nightmare. It was the kind of night that begged for a greasy comfort food coma. So I did what any sensible person would do. I ordered pizza, 2 large pepperonis, extra cheese, because why live life on the edge? An hour later, the doorbell rang. My stomach grumbled in agreement. I flung open the door, expecting the usual teenage delivery guy. But instead, a hooded figure stood there, shrouded in the downpour. "Delivery?" he rasped, his voice distorted by the hood. Something about him sent shivers down my spine, but I chalked it up to the weather and hunger. I handed him the cash, feeling a strange coldness in the coins I passed. He shuffled back, his hand brushing against mine. The touch was like ice, and I recoiled, startled. He chuckled, a low, guttural sound that sent chills down my spine. "Enjoy your meal," he rasped, and vanished into the storm without another word. I shook off the unease, figuring it was just the weather. I carried the pizzas inside, the aroma instantly filling the room. But something felt wrong. The boxes were heavier than usual, and the cheese seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Ignoring the creeping dread, I opened the first box. Instead of pizza, a swirling mass of black tendrils pulsed inside, emanating an unearthly heat. It pulsed, and I swear I saw eyes open within the darkness. Panic seized me. I slammed the box shut, scrambling back. The second box pulsed too, its tendrils reaching through the cardboard, whispering in a language I couldn't understand. The lights flickered and died, plunging the apartment into darkness. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hungry? Terror choked me. I fumbled for the light switch, but it did nothing. The tendrils from the boxes writhed closer, their whispers growing louder, hungrier. Then I heard it, a guttural chuckle from outside my door. The hooded figure was back. I had two choices: run or face whatever lurked in those boxes. With a scream that echoed in the darkness, I lunged for the window, crashing through the glass and landing on the fire escape below. The rain washing away my fear and the memory of the chilling touch. I never went back to that apartment, the pizza boxes forever haunting my dreams. Whispers in the pepperoni shadows. It was a stormy night, the kind that makes you crave comfort food. I decided to order a pizza, hoping the cheesy goodness would be the perfect antidote to the howling wind and torrential rain outside. Little did I know that decision would lead me down a dark and unsettling path. As I waited for the delivery, the ambience in my apartment seemed to change. The once familiar surroundings felt foreign, and an inexplicable unease settled over me. When the doorbell finally rang, I eagerly opened it, expecting the delivery person to be a beacon of comfort in the storm. To my surprise, there was no one at the doorstep. The pizza box sat there, rain-soaked and ominous. I brought it inside, hoping the contents would still salvage my night. The flickering candlelight played tricks on the shadows cast by the pizza box, creating an unsettling dance on the walls. As I opened the box, a pungent smell wafted through the air. The toppings were arranged in a peculiar pattern, forming what seemed like cryptic symbols. A shiver ran down my spine, but I attributed it to the storm's chill seeping through the cracks. I took a hesitant bite, and a sudden hush fell over the room. The atmosphere felt charged, as if an invisible presence lingered in the shadows. That's when I heard it, faint whispers, indistinct yet unsettling, echoing from the corners of the room. The more I listened, the clearer the whispers became. It was as if the very walls were sharing secrets, murmuring words that sent a chill down my spine. Panic set in as I realized the whispers were calling my name, their ethereal voices growing in intensity. I stumbled back, the pizza box crashing to the floor. The room plunged into darkness, and the whispers seemed to envelop me. Desperate to escape, I fumbled for the light switch, but the shadows clung to the room, resisting the illumination. In the eerie half-light, the pizza toppings took on a life of their own, writhing and contorting into grotesque forms. The whispers reached a fever pitch, a cacophony of voices that seemed to converge on a single haunting message. It was then that I questioned the very nature of the pizza. Was it a conduit for something otherworldly? Driven by fear, I abandoned the half-eaten pizza and fled the apartment. The storm outside raged on, mirroring the tempest within me. The whispers followed me down the dimly lit corridor, and I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever had been unleashed was still lingering in the shadows.